York City, which is still off the chain. We know that. Going on. What are we going to do about it? We have a mayoral race coming up. We have a borough president, June 22nd. Are you going to be doing some shows on that? And I will be doing some stuff with you all as we go through that. But with that being said, and all that being said, tonight I want to start off. And first and foremost, let me just say this. I hope I don't say anything that offends anybody tonight. But the one thing about Real Talk Chronicles is that I'm going to always discuss the things that a lot of people want to talk about but don't. But the one thing, if you want to have, hey, Nikki, coming in from YouTube, how are you? With that being said, the LGBT, thank you, I appreciate it, Nikki. I will speak the truth. The LGBT community took a stance, and if anybody wants to chime in, if you're gay and you want to chime in on this conversation, feel free, please let me know, and I'll try to get you the link so we can have this dialogue with Kevin and myself. The LGBT community took a stance, and they removed the NYPD people, the Gold, I think, Union for marching. Hey, Kaya, how are you? They also, they're on top of that. Hey, Stephanie, how are you? They want cops to stuff, and they went out and they changed some rules. So the rules can't. What's up, Jason? How are you? And they changed the rules. But now, even if the rules want to be amended, got to wait to 2025. Okay. There's a clip that I want Kevin to show, because a lot of people are talking about the Stonewall situation that has led to this in 50 years. And Kevin and I have a clip I got off YouTube because I don't want to do anything without having historical information to back my conversations up. But I want to talk about, did they go too far? Are they really just because they feel a certain way, they wave their hands, their magic hands, and they did it? Because a lot of times, can you imagine any other ethnicity doing that? Now, of course, the LGBT is a multiracial, uh, a vast people. So, but we've heard conversations where they've said, well, being gay and is like the new black. People of color got really offended with that, and I was one of them. And I understand, and I understand there's problems. Like, I had a good conversation today, and shout out to my childhood friend, calling my brother Todd Hunter. He would be in with us tonight, but he has a prior engagement, and we had a conversation this morning, and we were just saying how sometimes even gay men can try to act like they can relate to what people of color to come through. And Todd was explaining to me that it's almost being behind like many eight balls, as I'll say. You're gay, you're African American, any different barriers to jump over. And
you're coming in a bit broken up, Bill. I'm getting a 2G out of you.
I don't know what's happening. Yeah, I don't know what's happening right now. Sexuality and ethnic, but not simultaneously. Exactly, Jason. I totally get that. So I want to show the history. It's a little short documentary. So talking more about yes, Steph, I got that. to talk right into the conversation about what the parade, the gay pride parade. And this is a conversation, like I said, anybody that wants to enlighten me or Kevin or myself, please do so. If you want to enlighten us about what the protest is about or what it's about, what they're standing for, and why they are ostracizing law enforcement and FD said they can march, but they can't march in uniform. So, we're going to talk about that, but also we're going to talk about everything else. Crime in New York is off the chain. They just added more police on the trains. About time. Like I said, we have a mayoral race coming up. Who are you voting for? Public safety is very big in this world. So, Kev, can you pull that video up?
Sure. Hey, Bill.
So you two want I emailed you?
You've been coming in broken up.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on in here right now. I'm 2G moment. Yeah.
I'm checking with
Jason. Jason said, as a black man who has a fluid sexuality, black issues definitely supersede sexuality issues. Exactly. What did you say, Kevin? You're checking the emails?
I'm checking to see if anybody else is getting you, if it's mine showing you as 2G or if it's everybody else seeing you as broken up.
All right. I'll try to speak louder.
It's not do it loud, Bill. It's you're freezing.
Okay. All right.
But I want to see if it's, asking everybody out there, is it just me that's seeing him as freezing, or is it Bill's internet? Because we all know I have 2G, so I will get this video. Share.
Kaya said it's broken up for her as well. Yep. Yes, he keeps coming in and out. Okay, well, who knows? Maybe Malika used all the G's today.
Close out some.
You heard me?
If you have a bunch of tabs open on your computer, Bill, you might want to just close them out.
All right. So I'm just want you to run that video first. And I'll try to do that. You got it right there. All right.
All right. It's under 4 minutes. Is it?
28, 1969, a riot broke out in front of the Stonewall Inn in New York City.
You have volume?
The violent protest became known as the Stonewall Riots. The Stonewall Riots were a watershed moment in the gay rights movement, sparking activism and awareness across the United States. We'll look at the roots of the riots, the events, and their lasting impact. In the 1950s and 60s, homosexuality was still considered sodomy and illegal in 49 states. The punishments varied greatly by state, ranging from heavy fines to imprisonment. In society, members of the gay community were often subject to violence, harassment, and discrimination. In New York City, gay bars were havens for people with diverse sexual orientations and gender identities, places where they could avoid harassment and violence. The Stonewall Inn served as a popular refuge. The Stonewall Inn was owned by the mafia. The mafia bribed the police to look the other way. In turn, the mafia made money overcharging patrons for drinks. Even so, the patrons were not fully safe from homophobia and discrimination. The mafia would extort wealthy patrons, threatening to out them to their employers and families. Despite the mafia's bribes, the police still regularly raided the Stonewall Inn and other gay bars, charging them with solicitation of homosexual relations. Trans and other gender nonconforming people were also targeted, subjected to violence, and arrested if they weren't wearing what the police deemed gender-appropriate clothing. This oppression and mistreatment came to a head in the early morning hours of June 28, 1969. 9 police officers entered the Stonewall Inn in a raid. The patrons were fed up. As the police roughly tried to arrest bartenders and customers, many resisted. Outside the bar, people in the hundreds began rioting. They threw bottles at the police and pushed through the barricades. The police officers retreated from the crowd and locked themselves inside the Stonewall Inn. Rioters responded by setting the bar on fire. Police reinforcement arrived, and the original officers managed to get out of the burning bar. Meanwhile, the angry mob had grown into thousands. Eventually, the The police were able to get the crowd to disperse, but it didn't last long. The riots continued until July 1st. While some criticized the violent and destructive riots, others pointed to the brutality and unjust treatment of the gay community. This large-scale defiance made a massive impact on society. The Stonewall riots were the beginning of the modern gay liberation movement, which also brought attention to others marginalized for their sexual or gender orientation. The riots sparked the formation of the Gay Liberation Front, the first group to publicly advocate for equal gay rights. On the one-year anniversary of the riots, they also organized the first Gay Pride Parade. Today, Pride events are still held on the anniversary of the Stonewall riots in cities around the country and even the world. In 2016, President Obama made the Stonewall Inn and the area outside where the riots broke out a national monument. This became the first national monument celebrating gay history. The Stonewall riots may have been violent, but they marked a pivotal moment in history. No longer would people quietly endure the stigma associated with their sexual and gender orientations. Through the Stonewall riots, the gay rights movement gained mainstream visibility and a momentum that continues to this day.
All right. So not only did we have 2G coming from Bill, but he's apparently been kidnapped.
If you're a homeowner in New York and you're still paying for
Excuse me, I'm
electricity,
sorry.
then you could be missing out on free government.
Yes, everybody. So now we have a history about Stonewall and the situation that's happening right now. Coming in, we also have my man Chuck Richards coming in. What's up, Chuck? How are you, brother?
What's going on, brother? I'm so sorry, man. This time difference thing, man, it throws me off, brother. So
it's all right. It's okay. It's okay.
All right,
we're just talking about, basically, we just had a history. Well, you know, I don't know if you know, the LGBT community has asked for NYPD to not march with them and the firefighters to not march with them. Their gay community, their gay officers, not in the parade. And they also have pushed NYPD. They're hiring their own security to work in the parade. And they want the police to just be the first responders in case of emergency or something of that magnitude. So we just right now went over the history of the Stonewall riots in 1969, which you and I were kids. Kevin, I don't even think you were born yet. But, you know, exactly. So, you know, 50 years. And you know, I'm going to deal with the elephant in the room. First and foremost, crime is out the wazoo. Is the LGBT community going too far with ostracizing the police department, keeping them out of this situation? And we're going to get into, I sent you and Kevin, I don't know if I emailed it to you, Kevin, the reason why they are pushing them out. So
I have that press release. So yeah, I mean.
So let's bring up that press release so we can really deal with that and we can have this discussion, and that gives Chuck a chance to catch up. So everybody, this is Real Talk Chronicles. I'm your host, Bill Forster, with my co-host, Kevin Branzetti and Chuck Richards in the building. And we're going to talk about the elephant in the room, you know, what's going on. We're also going to discuss some police brutality stuff, cases. We're going to still talk about crime. We're going to talk about politics. And this is what Real Talk is. Anybody that wants to chime in, if you're of the gay community, please enlighten us. If you have your feelings, certain feelings about what we're saying or the situation in hand, please enlighten us. Thank you. Hold on. All right, Kevin, we're going to bring this up. I'm gonna have to put my glasses on. Well, Kevin, do you want to read it for everybody, please?
I'm not going to read the whole thing. it's beginning as it and announces law enforcement NYPD, will not be allowed to create a safer space. The sense of safety that law enforcement is meant to provide can instead be threatening and at times dangerous to those in our community that are targeted with excessive force without reason. So New York City Pride is unwilling to contribute in any way to creating an atmosphere of fear or harm for members of the community. So the steps being taken by the organization challenge law enforcement to acknowledge their harm and to correct course moving forward in hopes of making impactful change. So in the next paragraph goes into effective immediately. They're banning law enforcement until at least 2025. That's, so, historically, NYPD corrections officers marched in uniform proudly at this event. They're now banned. So they're banning cops and corrections officers from marching within the event, and then they do not want them providing the security at the event. So it's a twofold item. They want to bring their private security into the thing. I'm less offended by the private security part. That's fine if you want to pay for your own security. I take some issues with telling the officers who want to march that they're not allowed to this year. I think that's over the line. You muted, Bill.
There was something I sent you. I'm gonna see if I can pull it up. Where the thing that I actually sent you, it stated why they felt that they didn't want the officers to march. And if I'm paraphrasing, anybody correct me. I think Chuck, you might be able to pull it up too. I don't know if you're on your phone or a tablet, but it said that they were tired of the officers, correction officers that are gay, not speaking up and standing up for police brutality. So if you're not standing up and speaking up for police brutality, don't basically come out now and act like you with us when you're still letting the gay community and people of color being harassed and killed. So that, I'm paraphrasing that, but that's basically what they were saying. Like I said, I sent y'all the articles for that. So Chuck, I want to ask you a question. I got to put you on the seat right here. First, what do you feel about that? Do you feel that the officers, everybody, I was talking to, like I said, my friend today, my childhood friend. I can never understand what it's like for some of you to express yourselves, be free, and come out and come out and say that you're gay, because if you're older or around our age, I'm sure at a certain time in life it was taboo to do that, and if you didn't want to do that, you would have been made fun of. So props to you for coming out. And then now you're becoming law enforcement, which is hard to be liked. Anyway, you're behind the 8 ball. Now, it might be harder for a person of color and gay, but you had so many rights. Everybody here knows we've worked with gay officers. Nobody picked with gay officers. You may have whispered behind their back. People may have whispered behind their back, but you knew not you would say that, because you knew that was a EEO or something that you did not want to deal with. Now, kudos to the LGBT community for sticking up for rights of people of color and, of course, gay people. But like, how would you feel if they told you, Kevin, like, say if can't march in an Italian parade if you're not pro cop, or or Chuck, you can't march in the African American Day parade if because if you don't speak up. And not that you haven't, or Kevin, that you haven't spoke up or pro cop or whatever, that you can't march in this in a parade. That is who you are. What's your take on that, Chuck?
Well, in terms of the security aspect, I'll give you a little history about something that happened during the Dinkins age, when in fact I don't think a lot of people are aware of it. When during the Dinkins age, while he was the mayor, there was a rash of, really bad assaults that were happening to the gay community in the village. I mean, they were really bad assaults. They were being beat with bats. Some of them were being dragged into alleyways and were being accosted. Now, unbeknownst to a lot of people and to Mayor Dinkins' credit, he actually had put together a task force of along with Vice undercovers and some other officers that were in various boroughs who actually volunteered to go through a training course to learn about the gay community, things associated with certain signs directly related to, because at the time, the gay community, they utilize certain signals like certain handkerchiefs, certain colors, certain pockets. It was a culture and a history associated with how they were able to identify with one another in regards to their sexuality or what their, I guess you would say what they like, the dislikes, whatever the case may be. So these officers, as well as some of the people from Vice, actually went to this training. They went undercover in the area of around West Street, which is where a lot of these assaults were happening. And they went into these gay clubs and they baited guys that were down in rap and actually baited a great deal of the people that were creating these assaults on the gay community, right? Especially around on West Street. And like I said, to Mayor Dinkins' credit, I don't think he ever really got homage for actually doing something progressive about trying to ensure the security or trying to restore some type of order in terms of the gay community. But there were officers that were assigned there for a year, and that's all they did. They went in and out of these gay clubs. They danced, they laughed, they found out who maybe the perpetrators were. They used themselves, in essence, as bait and actually drew a lot of these people out who actually were committing these assaults. So I can understand that the gay community has an issue directly related to police. I get that. But there's also a particular group of police that are not even gay, that do what's necessary in order to ensure the well-being of the gay community, unbeknownst to them. And then those who are gay, who are a part of GOLD, it's they have to take into consideration it's a double-edged sword. Yes, they know very clearly, and they probably do feel a great deal of discontent in regards to culturally what's been happening in law enforcement across this country when dealing either with the gay community or dealing with people of color. But I think even if it means them not being in uniform, I can understand that. But they should be able to celebrate their heritage because there was a lot that was done. And we can say historically, there was a lot that was done to get the gay community to be accepted. And there's, I mean, we all are still fighting, right? Whether we're Black, Hispanic, gay, the work is not over. It's not done as of yet. But a lot has been done in order to get the gay community to be a force to be reckoned with. And there is an organization, right, within the police department that is forged to give them that fraternal spirit to understand that they can be together collectively and they're supervisors, they're bosses, they're cops. And this is their opportunity to possibly wave their flag and be proud of who and what they are, no more different than the Italians or no more different than the Irish community. And for them to be deprived of that, I think that is a little too much. Fine. You don't want us around, you don't want us outside of the perimeter, so on and so forth. You just want to use this as backup security. I get that. But I think it would be a little disingenuous, even if in fact knowing the culture of the police department, for them not to be able to at least be a part, of the celebration. I mean, that's just my personal, feeling. You know what I'm saying?
No, that's real talk. I mean, this is all it's about, everybody. This is giving our perspective. And like I said, if anybody else wants to chime in, reach out. We'll try to get you the information because, to my knowledge, none of us here are gay, right? So we're heterosexual men, and we're speaking, but we're speaking from a law enforcement standpoint, and we're going to deal with that. Like I said, that elephant in the room, because Chuck, have you ever marched? And I'm gonna bring you in, Kevin. But Chuck, have you ever marched in the African American Day Parade?
Yes.
Okay. Now, if you can recall, I have too. It is a wonderful feeling to get that love. You know what I'm saying? When we marching, electric slide, whatever we doing, but people like like brothers is chill with us, the girls is loving us, we look good in our uniform, people are clapping for us. It was a good feeling to march. Kevin, I don't know. Have you ever marched in any of your parades? No. You just wanted the overtime. That's what it is. Stats.
Yeah, that's part of it.
Exactly. So you've never marched, right? You just okay, and that's fine. But what I'm just trying to say is that it's a well, I think we all were a part of 9/11, and I tell people the proudest time I've been on this job is when we were going down that West Side Highway, and people were out there clapping. It made you feel good to be in law enforcement. I'm sure we all can recall that aspect of it. So it's Kevin, that it's a similar feeling to that when you're in a parade and everybody loves you for a day. And I guess I'm saying that it's you have these gay these gay officers that have spoken out to say that they're gay in a community that doesn't co-sign gay, really. The police department can act all that. It's changing, but that it's still ruled by the good old boys. We know that, and to come out and then now all of a sudden on the one day when you can be so proud to be a law enforcement officer and a gay man or woman, and now they told you no. They just distance yourself. I don't know how I would feel if the African American community, African American Day Parade told me, "Yo, you can't march because I don't know if you stood out." What? Get out my face! Now that causes a division. You know what I'm saying? Therein lies a division of what I can do and I can't do. So now, what are you telling me? So now they're telling the officers, you can march, but you can't march in uniform, right? So you can't wear your colors. That's like, yo, I'm proud to be a law enforcement officer. I'm proud to be black. You know what I'm saying? You can't tell me I can't be what I want to be when I want to be it. So
which is one of the reasons why, like you said very clearly, right? It's about being being inclusive, right? And that being said, if you're going to take me, you're gonna have to take me for everything that I am. No more different if I'm a gay male, right? You have to take me as a male and as being gay. I can't separate the two. I mean, once again, we can't be pigeonholed, and use the expression, clusterfuck, because of a bunch of assholes who did something, right? There are people who are in law enforcement who earnestly and honestly want to do a good job for the community. And because you get a couple of bad apples, that doesn't mean you should generalize everyone and pigeonhole us all into the same funnel.
And I remember one time I had a guy tell me, and you still hear it sometimes, but I had somebody tell me, "Oh, I don't like cops." He was a black guy, right? And I've had this multiple times, and I've always give them the same response. I say, "You don't like cops?" And they say, "Nah, I can't stand cops. But you cool." I said, "Okay." I said, "So are you mad if a white person says, I don't like black people without getting to know you?"
We lost 2G
Crazy
again.
thing to want done to people of color. You can't. Yeah, I see. But I'm still. Can you still hear me, Kevin?
I got you.
Kevin, can you hear me?
Yeah. Was he breaking up for you, Chuck?
Okay, right.
Yeah, he's breaking up a little bit. Yeah, I lost him.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know what's there. I apologize, everybody. I paid my bill, so I don't know what's going on. You know what I'm saying? I paid my bill.
Well, I may fade it's a lot of rain out here, so you lose me. It's because
I've been 5G hard, so I'm gonna. Kevin, I want to ask you, what's your take on this whole situation? And then I really want to discuss something, and I won't stay on too long, and then we can move on to another topic. But what's your take on this, Kevin?
I think the three of us, without even discussing this beforehand, the three of us agree on this. It is what it comes down to. It sounds like. Look, I think I said this to you on the first time you brought me on. You can't beat racism with prejudice. And what they're doing to these officers is prejudice. They're prejudging them, not knowing what these officers have stood for or stand for, and telling them they're not accepted at this event.
Yeah.
You never win. It just does not win. I think it takes everything a step backwards instead of a step forward.
I agree with you. I really agree with you on that. And now let's really have some real talk on this. It is a beautiful thing when the LGBT community can move things like that, but they're doing things that the African American community, the Latin community can't even do. Chuck and Kevin, there's no way in hell we would have been able to do that. It wouldn't have happened. Because if it would have, it's just not happening. First and foremost, our voices fall on deaf ears. It really does. And there's no disrespect, Kevin. I'm just keeping it 100 with everybody out there listening to me. Shout out to the NYPD family. Shout out to the LGBT community family. Shout out to just anybody that rocks with Real Talk Chronicles. But this is what Real Talk is about. It's just having a real conversation. If it's too much for you to digest, then I don't know what you need to get some water, get a libation that's going to help you swallow the shit that I'm saying. Because I'm going to say it. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? But that's the elephant now. Chuck, what do you think? Are we ever going to people of color ever going to catch up and be heard like the way we should be heard, like the LGBT community be heard? Because there's going to be some people of color that are going to have issues. Why they get that? How come they can do that? You know what I'm saying? I'm sure there's going to be some white people that have some disdain for them doing that too. That is just going to be so pro cop that they're going to be like, yo, F them. You understand what I'm saying? And shame on the officers that get caught in the middle, like that are gay, and they're caught in the middle, and they have to kind of now listen to the rhetoric from both sides. What's your take on it, Chuck and Kev?
Well, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, I've always said that the two largest communities that always seem to have a pure force politically, and I'm being very real, it's the Jewish community and the LGBTQ community. Those, to me, as far as I'm concerned, in New York City, those are the two largest forces. If in fact, when they make a decision about doing something, it's automatic that it's going to be respected, regardless of what the circumstances are. And I've always, to some degree, as much as they may have forged their rights, and they've done it in such a political and such a very strong way, and they said it was based on what happened with the civil rights movement and a lot directly related to what our struggles are. It sounds kind of messed up to say this, but sometimes we as people, even as blacks, we have so much division between ourselves that when we try to do something collectively, it falters, and this is a particular community based on everything that has occurred and happened with them, that when they say yay, they all say yay and they all come out. Yeah. As opposed to our own people, for whatever reason, well, I'm on the fence, I'm not sure, I don't know, I don't want to be seen. We go through all these different kinds, and I don't know why, but it's been an ongoing issue that there's such divisiveness within the Black community that we can never pull together when we need to be. I mean, unless, like I said, and it has to take something unfortunate like a George Floyd, all right, then all of a sudden we may pull together. But once we pull together and let's say that particular animal in the room has been put to bed, we should continue to now look at other aspects, other issues that we can address, because if we came together collectively for George Floyd, why can't we come together for other issues, whether it be education, whether it be housing? Why can't we all march for anything directly related to that? But this community, regardless of what the circumstance may be, no matter what it is, they're always on the map. They're always pushing forward. They're always being progressive. And they're always, regardless of what their issues are, they stay pretty much as a community. And it's unfortunate that we as Black people, sometimes we haven't gotten that message yet,
Kev?
United people have power. It's very, very simple. And there are communities that have learned that. United, with strength. I don't know, what the difference is with other communities. Maybe it's they've lost hope, been lied to too many times, and have kind of, nothing's going to change. I hear that from a lot of people, right? Like, why don't you vote? It doesn't matter. Nothing will change. It'll be the same. And I think that's the kind of negative attitude too many people have, and you lose your power. Yeah,
But
you
Kevin, let
know,
me ask you a question. And shout out to Jason. Jason had said that this could let me go back to what he actually said. So, hold on. Jason from on the YouTube side, he says, and there is a considerate amount of racial discrimination in the LGBT community too. So the bottom line is, it's crazy. It's like you can come together, but then, and I've heard that too. Like, just because you're gay doesn't mean you can't be racist. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
It
yeah,
happens.
absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
Kevin, give me some insight, because let's not ever anybody here think that all white people get along. I've heard Italians talk about Irish. I heard Irish talk about Italians. So no, Greeks, whomever, whatever.
100%. We're not all on the same page, Bill. No,
No, I'm not saying that you
we have
didn't say
shared
that.
numbers.
No, I agree. And maybe you can get the stats on that. You know what I'm saying? Everybody, Kevin, his nickname now is Stats. So so the thing is, but the bottom line is, and Chuck, help me, correct me if I'm wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And Kevin, correct me if I'm wrong, though, but it seems like in the workplace, because we're talking about law enforcement in the workplace, that you'll see white people get along, and you may not see blacks and Latins stay strong together. Because I always say that people of color, if we stood together, the blacks and the Latins, we'd be an unstoppable force, and then that's why we'll understand why the 13% of the world that are Caucasian have a problem with people of color. You understand what I'm saying? But until we come together and stop killing ourselves and stop doing things, and then just not giving the people the reason to think of the way we are. So, with that being said, go ahead, Kevin, chime in.
Sorry, what was the question, either?
Well, it wasn't really a question. It was just like, I mean, about Caucasian people. Where is their division and things of that magnitude?
I don't know if I've ever considered myself to take up a white person's cause. I don't know, and it might just be my eyes see the world different than you. I more unify and with people over political beliefs. Some left, some right, than anything else.
I'm sorry, I was just making sure Malika and I was conversing about something in the background. But okay, so Chuck and Kevin, give me your perspective on this, and then we're going to move on to another topic in a minute. Unless I'm gonna read some of the comments from the YouTube and stuff like that. It seems, shout out to Craig Foster Screen on YouTube, fellow two-way brother, and he sent me something about Black and the Asian community together, going at each other. But Chuck, I mean, let me know your feelings first, and then I'll go to you, Kevin. Chuck, it seems like no matter where we are in this world, there's another nationality, there's another cause that will always supersede the African American or Latin community. It's almost like we're left at the dock again, where we missed the airplane. There's something wrong, and give me your personal feelings on that, some insight on that.
Well, once again, I mean, it all comes down to one thing. I mean, unfortunately, we are still valued or perceived to be less than. It's like every other race depart, depending on what their agenda is, depending whether it be, let's say, the Asian community or the gay community, or it seems to be across the map that regardless of whatever it is we may be fighting for, they always seem to be the last one in line. And I said, once again, I mean, even let's say today, it being the birthday of Malcolm X, even after him going to Mecca and realizing a lot of what he was taught in regards to the Elijah Muhammad and the Muslim community, he realized that there were brothers and sisters who were just as devoted Muslims that were not the same colors. They had different eyes, they were different shades, they were from different countries. And what he said very clearly while coming back upon his press conference was that he said that he was now in a position that he didn't mind taking assistance or help from outside entities. But he said the main thing first is that, in essence, he said we as the people have to get our shit together first. And then once we get ourselves collectively together, understanding the nuances and the issues that we have, then we can start to accept any type of assistance or help from any outside races. And I think that's where, unfortunately, like you said earlier, yeah, there's division in every community, but it appears historically that we have always been at the bottom of the totem pole, and that's ingrained in American history. All right, from day one, and that seems to be something that we'll always will have to continue to fight, regardless of what every other cause is. We will always be on the back burner. We will always have to do what's necessary to make our cause or our voice very loud and proud in every aspect. But it's just unfortunate. Like I said, that's something that's pervasive and manifests itself just in history alone. And I guess we're always going to have to fight in order to be noticed, because we're always going to be on the back burner. We're always going to be the last one in line.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate, you know.
Yeah, and we need legislative power too, because a lot of times people of color, like for the LGBT the community to go and get these things happen like that, as they say, fast like that, was phenomenal. Now, what other laws can we change instead of just worrying about people marching in parades? Because I think that's ridiculous to me. You know, if you're going to use your legislative power to march and parade, let's change some laws, some other laws about, you know, what's happening in communities and people getting arrested and, I mean, just assaulted or whatever it is your cause is. Just let's not be so you know, in my opinion, minuscule in marching in a parade. I'm not lobbying for somebody not to march in a parade. That's ridiculous to me. You know, shout out to the people.
But generally, that's how it starts, right? You got to take small steps first. So if I'm able to, excuse the expression, kick you in the balls with something small like that, and you go for it, then guess what? Now I'm gonna come a little further. Now I'm gonna take a step further. You give me an inch, I'm gonna start to take a yard. So if they were able to pretty much ensure that they were able to get that done and it's respected, believe me, that's just the catalyst for something that's larger further down the line.
Absolutely, man. And you know, I'm going to read comments. Shout out to my man Paul Martinez, Cat Rouse in the building. I want to read some comments and let me know what you think about this, because this is one good one Jason said also from the YouTube people. He's let me just read some of it. Jason said, of course, there's a lot of variables going on. I know Jason would have chimed in, but he's on the road. He's making moves. He said, I hope the parade is not sabotaged because of backlash happens in the workplace and in other spaces. Will the LGBT community get some backlash from law enforcement with this happening? Shout out to Eddie Vieira chiming in from DR on vacation. Love you, brother. Jason said, I'm not sure whether to agree or disagree with the move to divisive divide law enforcement. I hope everyone remains safe and to offer some healing around this instance. Yeah. He also said, this is also making me makes me horrible for law enforcement and public safety persons whom are even further pushed in the closet. That's a point too, that, you know, you've been coming out and now all of a sudden, you know,
to be a part of a place like the NYPD and come out, it was a huge thing.
Yeah, that's huge.
You know, and I think somewhere when the three of us in that era of coming on is when it started to become accepted, right? It was not accepted many years before that, right? Like that, you could not come out. And most cops who were kept it to themselves, right? Like it was not that open when I was a young cop. You know, you kind of, you know, you knew, but it wasn't. It was just the kind of like a don't ask, don't tell sort of policy was what it felt like, you know, back then. I wonder if this puts pressure on other parades to follow suit. You know, this is the first parade of the year, you know, first big one. will others now feel the pressure, and will this be the only?
Well, we definitely know St. Patrick's Day won't do it, and Thanksgiving Day Parade won't do it.
St.
Now,
Pat's
like
is
I said,
passed.
yeah, but I'm saying it's
Yeah.
still going to come back around, but
Yeah,
still,
yeah.
yeah.
But the African American Day Parade, I think it puts a lot of pressure on it.
Well, whatever's left of the African American Day Parade, the African American Day Parade seemed like it goes within an hour. I mean, it was something that one time, like if you worked it on a working aspect, you was working maybe to 11 o'clock at night. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly,
From in the morning, and let's not even talk about the West Indian Day Parade. But you see here we go with always with parades of color, like even the Puerto Rican Day Parade, which is a beautiful parade. I've witnessed so much love for a culture. You know what I'm saying? But after that Central Park fiasco, and then certain bosses got thrown under the bus, then it became a bad stigma, right? But the African American Day Parade came with bad reputation. The West Indian Parade comes with a bad reputation. What is the thing we've all heard? Now, I've never had a problem in the West Indian Parade, but what was the thing? It's blood money, and they treat you this way, and then a jubei the night before. And the bottom line is, like I said, I've never personally had a parade. I never had a problem at these parades. Were we overworked? Absolutely. To stand up on our feet for 20 damn hours was that was the problem. You know what I'm saying?
I'll be honest with you. There wasn't a parade I liked. I didn't like really working any of them. Right? Like you just
And
stood
that's what
there.
exactly, Kevin.
It's
exactly.
hot. You're in your vest, a dark uniform. It just it stinks. And the West Indian Day for me was a little bit tougher. That is loud.
Yes,
like that is like I'm.
Well, that's a real parade.
I don't like loud clubs. I don't like loud music. I like it's something I've never liked. I've never I don't blast the radio in my car, not even as a kid. So that part of it, no, did not like it at all.
Yeah, and I just
my family being from Caribbean, descent, I was with it. I was the all day. I didn't care in uniform or not. Yeah.
yeah. And what's so funny? That's the beautiful thing about the parades. And I thought that was the ultimate community policing, because when we were, Chuck, Kevin, I don't know if you have ever done this, probably not, but not that some white officers haven't done it that love different kind of music and stuff like that. But if I heard some music that was rocking and I was in uniform, I get with it. You know what I'm saying? And it seemed like the community gravitated to that. They embraced that. It was the ones that just stood there like.
And those are the ones that got hit with power.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that hit with power. They were boom, like, oh, yeah.
Yeah. Let me just finish reading what Jason said, and then we're gonna go to another topic. This is also Jason said, this also makes me horrible for law enforcement and public safety persons who are ever. Yeah, he said that. Thank you, Jason. He said this also makes me feel horrible for LGBT law enforcement and first responders. Yeah, for people to come out and try to expose themselves and just be proud of whom they are, that have fought their own personal wars. Craig Foster said everyone needs to educate themselves of other cultures. Yeah, but what's so funny, Craig? I'm tired of people of color learning about everybody else's cultures, but not everybody learning about Black and Latin cultures. That's what it needs to change, and that needs to change in the school system first and foremost. And we've all discussed that is a prominent issue that we have at hand. With that being said, law enforcement has stepped up. They're going to put more people on trains due to some slashings. It's crazy. Due to the mayoral race, I have my personal feelings and who I'm voting for, and I have no problems divulging it right now at this stage in the game. I really was going to do that in June about trying to have the people that I'm personally feeling like I'm going to endorse, get them on the stage on Real Talk. But there's a lot of division in the mayoral race. Eric Adams, to my knowledge now, is leading. But you got everybody. You got certain people, athletes talking. They vote for somebody, but they don't live in New York. Okay, Public safety is going to be paramount for the mayoral race. So for all those out there that's chiming in, Stephanie says, "See, Chuck gets it. Kevin Branzetti, don't come for my parade." uh, exactly. So Steph, I think she's from. She said the slashing of people on their face on the train and gang related are reminded me of the '90s. Exactly. Somebody was saying that the slashing was initiations. Listen, everybody. Shout out to my man Todd Butler. Todd, we got to get you on the show maybe next week if you're free. I'm tired of hearing about what officers aren't doing because they're not doing it. I get it. But officers need to do what they got to do. Really, I'm tired of people feeling unsafe. New York is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful city. But let me tell you something. I shouldn't have to always carry my gun everywhere I go. You know what I'm saying? I should be able to feel like I can leave it at home one day. You know what I'm saying? And not that I don't. But the bottom line is you can't take a knife to a gunfight. And this certain generation, we can't even just blame it on the young. It's a problem, man. It's really a problem. Always free for your show, bro. What's up, Chuck? Ty Butler said, "What's up, man?" So definitely, Ty, we got you coming in next Wednesday too, man. So the four of us will chop it up, and you on the tap, man. Appreciate you. Yeah. So we want to deal with the elephants in the room. The elephants in the room. Elephants in the room with people of color. It's harmonized. They put it out there in the world. You're acting up. You're killing each other. You're destroying each other. There's also an elephant in the room about Craig hit me up with. I'm sorry, Craig, for being divulging that, but what I'm saying about the Black and the Asian community, at odds. But then all of a sudden there's solidarity. You know what I'm saying? Now all of a sudden, okay, let's come together and kumbaya. And a lot of people of color have been like, yeah, okay, no Asian hate crime. But then there were Asians that, nail salons and stuff like that was doing damage to us in Brooklyn and other places, and in China. Black person tried to go in the store. They was like, no, you can't come in. I stopped the white person. The white person was like, what's the problem? Can I come in? They was like, yeah. She was like, oh, that's your bad then. So, it's so funny. It seems like I said, everybody, and shout out to all our beautiful Asian friends and family members, much love and respect. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the naive and the people, the delusional people that don't have knowledge of self and don't love one another. I think everybody here, we can all say this is a harmonious thing that we try to come together and spread some love. This is and nothing I ever say here, and I hopefully I can speak for my panel. We're not here to divide. We're here to unite. But sometimes during the conversation, you will hear why there was division. Is that fair to say, gentlemen?
Sure.
That's very fair.
Okay. With that being said, Kevin, can you go? I want to shift because we're going to talk about law enforcement stuff. What Todd Butler said, he says they were kicking Africans out of China and physically revoking their passports. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, now all of a sudden, some Asians finally feel what we really feel. Because people of color have definitely been, treated unfairly. And Asians are feeling it. And think about there was a Michael Jai White. Shout out to him. And this is I'm gonna really put the elephant in the room. And then I'm gonna start with you, Kevin, and then I'll go with you, Chuck, and finish. Since you've heard "Stop Asian Hate," you have not heard one white person come out talking about, oh, stop white hate. You know what I'm saying? What happened? When it was Black Lives Matter, oh, all lives matter, blue lives matter. stop Asian hate. You ain't heard nobody say anything. You haven't heard no white person say, "Oh, stop Asian hate." What? Stop white hate. So the elephant is the black people and Latin people. It's not just Asian, because the bottom line is it's not being said. And if I'm wrong, somebody please school me, enlighten me. Go ahead, Kevin. I'll let you comment.
I think that so. My guess in this is the difference is the Black Lives Matter. A lot of the anger went towards cops. So then people went towards
that's who was killing us. Yeah.
Yeah, and so then people went towards Blue Lives Matter. The Asian Lives Matter. I don't think that was directed at anybody except for those doing it to them. So it wasn't directed at cops. It wasn't directed at whites. It wasn't directed at blacks. I think it was directed at those responsible. So there was no follow-up, complaint. My guess.
No, and in your guess, whether you're right or wrong, it's fair. I respect the guess, because the problem still lies that Asians are, like you said, if that's the path we're going to go, Asians are upset with the people that are attacking them, right? Now, who started off attacking the Asians? Where it was Trump that really brought them to light, in the point of China was the point of what you call it, because they were being mocked and made fun of in all the Asian in martial arts movies. Dong 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 kung fu, my drunken style. Listen, Asians have been made fun of for years, right? But it was a joke, and they laughed along with it too. But then all of a sudden, they started coming at people of color. Get out my store! You stealing, right? Let's keep it 100 now. That's what it is.
Then all of a sudden, once again, that's ingrained with the history direct related to this country from day one, from slavery, right, all around. No matter what they see and what they hear and what they project is what this country has projected about Black people. So right, here it is, you get an immigrant who comes from another country, who has a store, and they see everything that's negative directly related to a Black male or female. And now, before you even walk into the store, their eyes are on you, right? They're watching you go through the aisle. They're making sure, are you touching? Are you really going to buy something? So it's unfortunate. And the thing that's disgusting to me is that, I'm sorry, all right, you probably weren't brought over here on a slave ship like we were, but nonetheless, you're an immigrant, right? You're trying to forge and get and trying to do what's necessary to do the same thing that every other person is trying to do, right? We're trying to provide for our families. We're all trying to ensure that we have a safe haven, that we're respected, and we're respected by the communities and by the country that we live in. So yeah, once again, it's all ingrained. It's manifested in the history of this country about us. And no matter who comes here, whether it's Irish, look, the Irish community, Italian, same way, right? They all look at it as less than human, less than anything else on the face of the earth, because of what this country has manifested historically. So once again, it's going to be a constant battle for all Black communities, regardless of what it is, whether it be in education, whether it be in housing. We are always going to have to fight.
Kev, chime in.
I can't argue with them. So it's I have no stats to fight them with.
No numbers this time, brother. Nothing.
No numbers on this one.
You got no numbers.
And so my complaint with everything is, yes, we've heard this and we've had this discussion long before you and I were able to have a discussion, and it feels like the world hasn't changed much. I think Chuck, you said it earlier. Like people are paying attention for a moment. How long will this moment last, and what will actually be accomplished? I don't know. I don't see much positive change out there. This move to remove gay and lesbian cops from the gay pride parade, not helpful, right? And I think some of the rules city council created, not helpful. I don't see where we turning this upside down and changing things. I think one of our largest problems has been poverty for decades. And I've made this complaint, Bill, on this show a lot. I still don't understand our city and every city in this country where the lousiest public schools are in poor neighborhoods and the good public schools are in rich neighborhoods. They're
Right.
public schools. If we want to start turning this around, you start there. Our best public elementary schools should be in poor neighborhoods, period.
Yeah.
Student to teacher ratio should be cut in half. After school programs should be, enlarged. I've told you about this. I think we should, New York City, we have lots of billionaires here. Let them adopt a school, put their name on it. Put big funds into these schools. Let's give these kids a fighting chance. Let's change poverty. There's a lot of things we can't change, but poverty we can. Educating people you can. And a lot of the stuff we're talking about will change with it. But nobody's doing that. Nobody's, we used to work in the 2-8, Bill. The 2-8 has changed since we worked there. It's a different place. We didn't improve people. We pushed people out. And that's how they changed that community, right? That's how we didn't bring them up. We pushed them out the door.
Right.
And we said it's a better, it became safer, became nicer. I was driving by there just a couple of days ago, watching all the outside cafes that exist. They weren't there when we were there.
There was no such thing.
I would have loved to have been able to get a cup of coffee and sit outside on my foot post.
I don't recall there ever been something called a cafe in Harlem.
Exactly.
Right. Now they're all there. But we didn't change people there for the better. We didn't help them. And I don't get it. And I don't hear a candidate talking about it. And I haven't heard a previous candidate talking about it. We've had mayor after mayor, city council after city council, governor after governor. Nobody's going after a root problem of poverty. And maybe it's uncomfortable to talk about, but why? And like I said, to be the simplest starters are public schools. There is no way in hell we should have lousy public schools in communities that are already in distress. Absolutely. Invest in our kids or keep buying prisons. Absolutely. Apparently we chose the latter.
Listen, let me just read some comments from YouTube and Facebook. Stephanie said, what I find to be very interesting is that the Asian community has been able to get laws passed and things put in place to protect them, all within a few months. Yet it takes our community forever to get anything done. I just don't get it. Shout out to Vanetta. She's in the building. She says hello. She agreed with you on your comments. Ty Butler said, let's change some of the curriculum being taught in the schools. I totally agree with you, Ty, on that. I've said that all the time. I'm tired of reading about the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria. F them. You know what I'm saying? Ponce de Leon, he didn't do shit for me. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I'm tired of reading. The first thing people of color read, Latins and blacks, when we read in history in school, is that we were slaves. We were kings and queens before we were slaves. Remember, we were taken from our countries and then became slaves. They don't want to talk about that shit. Don't start at, when you start you want to talk about 1 to 10. Don't start at 7. You know what I'm saying? That's the gangster shit. What you're doing. Don't start at 7. Ty said, let's change. Yeah, exactly. Change the real life skills are needed to plotting on a graph. So let me go to YouTube and read what they're saying. We're gonna rock out, everybody. This is Real Talk Chronicles. This is what we do, baby. Tell a friend, let them know. Eddie Vieira said, defects. Others need to learn Black, Hispanic, and Caribbean cultures. Absolutely, Eddie. Jason said, don't forget the division in the BIPOCs communities, systematic and categorical on purpose. So yes, there is a division, but was created and sustained eons ago through racism, white supremacy, etc. And modern day patriarchal system facilitate the disunity in the BIPOC communities. Please never forget the power that persists. Greg said, Bill, share that video. Greg, I would share that video that you sent me, but the bottom line is I would be promoting the people that are having that table that table talk discussion, and I'm not into that. If I could get the footage of that documentary, I would definitely share that. But I'm not promoting Jada Pickett. You know, cheated on my man Will. She had a what was the word she used? She had on Will. She had a experience or some shit or some sort of shit she used. Anyway, I'm just playing, but I'm serious. Uh, Not that blacks and Latins don't want to come together. This is what Jason is saying. They are still systematically and categorically pit against each other as a function of maintaining status quo and a certain power structure. That could be true because the bottom line is that we have a lot of Latin people that think they're white because they're hair, but with unbeknown to them, their cultural history. So Jason also says critical race theory, CRT, has availed us of the knowledge for a long time. But this teaching is still downplayed because it unmasks why. Let me read the rest of it. Why the Black and Latin division persists. Jason is breaking it down on the side. Exactly. George Rose was in the building. I see you, George. Oh, yeah, that's right. That's what she had, Stephanie. She had an entanglement. So, yeah, Craig, I definitely would rock what she would with the video what her show was talking about, but she had an entanglement. You know, poor Will. He got fat over that COVID. Wait, let me stop. Mark Rose. When these other groups come here, they open up liquor stores, dollar stores, and other communities. They're taught to look at color. I'm sorry, let me just trying to. They look at the color, not substance. Kevin, you're right. The billionaires should do exactly what you're suggesting. But the thing is, these same billionaires don't want poor blue collar people around them. These same billionaires only want police to protect their assets. When Commissioner Gordon came to the ball, he wore his tuxedo under, uniform. Not he wore his uniform, not a tuxedo. Absolutely, you got it, Jason. So everybody, this is what we're talking about. We're really trying to deal with the elephant in the room. It's all about problem solving. We can talk about the problems, but let's talk about the solutions. Please, I ask you all to be safe, no matter where you are in this world, because I know I have people watching me from all over. Please vote in your elections and stuff like that. Like I said, mayoral race, Bronx Borough presidents. I got some city council friends that's coming on. I'll be doing something with some city council people. They've asked me to facilitate a little city council roundtable in Harlem. I'll do that. Next, when Al Taylor and I come together, I'm sure when Pastor Graves and I come together, we'll talk about some other things. But when Al Taylor and I come together, we'll talk about what's the choice voting, like everybody group choice voting. I forgot right now. I just got a brain freeze. It usually doesn't happen to me. I'm so intelligent. Let me stop. You got to add some light to this. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you just got to throw some shit up on the table. You know what I'm saying? Kevin, I sent you some other stuff. I sent you Andre Brown that was killed. I don't think I sent you this. Just for everybody's FYI, Andre Brown that was killed. I think the Attorney General or somebody came out and said that it was a justified shooting. Here we go again. Sound like in my DMX voice. They let them see, I think, a few minutes of the shooting in comparison to 45 minutes or 2 hours of footage. You let me see what you want me to see. If you show me 20 minutes of something, then you only let me see what you wanted me to see. That's just the obvious. This is like, and people don't tell me you don't agree. I'm telling you, you're gonna agree, because when you see a trailer to a movie, they show you the exciting things that's gonna make you want to see the movie. So when people see 20 minutes of a 2-hour body cam footage, you're only letting somebody see what you want to see. The judge refused to have the footage shown as evidence. That's something different. Also, I sent Kevin a footage of a police officer slamming an African American girl. You remember that, Kevin?
I got it up and ready.
All right, let's roll that. I just want you to see it. Everybody to see this. This is disgusting. So I need to slam him like this.
The good part is he was arrested and convicted.
Right. But things like this come to court. So a lot of times these stories may have a little tenure on them, but they resurface when there's some kind of summation to the end. I'll play. All right. Volume, Kev.
Person apology from Constable Alex Dunn. Instead, it was delivered via his lawyer, and she says that means nothing to her. Kathy was thrown to the ground face first, and she still has a bump on the inside of her lip. And when she looks in the mirror, she says it brings her back to the day of the assault. Kathy was being arrested for breaching conditions of court, and in the video, you can see her being thrown to the ground. In December, Constable Alex Dunn was convicted of assault causing bodily harm. The Crown prosecutor is asking that Dunn be sentenced to 9 months in jail. He says offenses like this can shatter the community's trust in the system. Kathy says she vividly remembers that day, and when she was in court Thursday, she felt like she wanted to scream, so she kept her head down.
I felt like I was useless, like I was nothing because the way he threw me to the ground. So I didn't feel like a human being. Like you would never do that to a dog or a cat. So why would you do that to a human being like you?
The defense submitted that Dunn's career with the Calgary Police Service is likely over, and because of the mass spread of the video on social media, it will be hard for Dunn to secure employment or even a volunteer opportunity. The defense submits that Dunn should serve a conditional sentence, so in the community, and that if the court feels he should be incarcerated, it should be 30 to 45 days served intermittently. Judge Michelle Christopher will decide on a day to deliver a sentence later this month. Jenna Freeman, Global News.
You're muted, Bill. Not much to say on that video.
Thank you. Kevin, let me just ask you a question. You're a judge, you're a magistrate, whatever you want to call it. Like, what are you thinking? What do you see when what goes through your mind when you see an officer just abuse?
Well, that's why he's getting jail time, right? I mean, look, it's horrible. I don't understand why he had to throw her like that. I could understand if she was pushing and shoving and you're trying to get the cuff on her or something and she's fighting you, or she wouldn't walk. But it doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, that person, she's rear cuffed. She cannot protect herself. So it's your job, our job. We have to protect her. And he didn't just not protect her. He assaulted her. I think in the end it's an assault 3. So to get 90 days, I think is, a good number out of it.
You do? You think 90 days is good for that?
Well, it's assault 3 is for us here, it's a misdemeanor. I don't know if there's anything else because the way she was held, she's cuffed, that there's any other charge. And you guys can chime in if you think I'm wrong, but I think in the end it really is an assault 3, the misdemeanor charge.
The fact that you get, like Vanetta said, 9 months, are you effing kidding me? We didn't have a choice to come here. I'm just reading something other than she said. We had a choice to come here, other ethnic groups did. Propaganda and rhetoric that has been spread or believed by others about us have been festered into the psyche of them, and that they believed it. That was something pertaining to what we were talking about. Let me tell you something, Kevin, and I'm going to say this to you, and then I'll let Chuck mind it. You are so law enforcement, and when I say so law enforcement, I don't mean certain more than what I'm trying to say. That you've always talked about the tarnishing the badge and stuff like that, and if you're wrong, you're wrong. You're right, you're right. But to sit here and say that he slammed her face on and this is like I'm referring to the slick Ricks on the hard concrete, because that's what he did.
100%.
You know what I'm saying? and then say 90 days is what he got, and that's cool. Is that really what you think? That 90 days is all he deserves? Is 3 months or 45 days?
Am I mistaken that it's not assault 3?
But so you want to go with the hold on, I'm just asking.
I'm going with a couple things here. One, right? I think the only charge can be assault 3. So you have a misdemeanor charge.
Okay.
Right? And getting jail time on a misdemeanor charge doesn't really happen. So giving 90 days, where you're going with this. Giving 90 days on that, you know, I understand, you know, the look of it, and we think it should be more, but I don't know if there's a law out there to charge him. I don't know if there's a felony. Look, this happened in Calgary, and I don't know Canadian law. Right? This is not a U.S. crime. This was a Canadian crime. I don't know. You know, I think in the U.S., the only thing that can be done is federally going after him for civil rights violation, and then that's a different charge and a different term. Read a couple of articles on this, and the prosecutor said there was nothing to prove it was racially motivated. Nothing to disprove it, but they had nothing to prove it. So you're charging somebody with a misdemeanor assault. Surprisingly, her injury was minimal. Surprisingly, like, I'm surprised she didn't lose teeth and break a jaw.
Absolutely. You know, let me just interject with you, and I'm gonna let you finish. You know, okay, if we're gonna give him 45 days, if you want to say it's about assault 3, then he needs to, for 45 days, he needs to be in a cell with Bubba, somebody that's 6'9", is hung like a horse, and let him receive the benefits of the fruits of his labor. That's all. I mean, I get it. Then 45 days of getting your back blown out, then you know what I'm saying? And it is what it is. Because you know what's so funny, T? Then I think that he would tell the next man, yo, don't do that. You understand what I'm saying? Because when you get slapped on the wrist 45 days, and you heard the thing, they said, oh, well, sorry, maybe the worst thing that can happen is he'll never get a job. Somebody's going to give him a job doing something somewhere. You understand what I'm saying? But the bottom line is, he will never feel the repercussions that he should. And that will only teach anybody in this world until you know it. It's just like the man that hits a woman and her brother comes and beats his ass. I'm sure he's learned not to hit women again. Or, you know what I'm saying? Or make sure he's not going to hit a woman that got brothers or friends. You see what I'm saying? So if that's the best way I can articulate that on a layman term, then that's what I'm going to give people, because the bottom line is excuses are what we can use to justify our lack of intelligence. They really are. You understand what I'm saying, Kev?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the update was that, because at the end of this one, it said the sentence would come down in a month, and this video was from February. He was sentenced to the 90 days. Mm-hmm. He didn't get the probation.
Right. I see Collins in the building. What's up, Collins? That's Chuck. Colin, I'm gonna be funny. I'm gonna ask for him. Kevin? Did you ever find out whatever happened to Jerry? Is he all right? Just gonna see.
I have no Jerry updates.
Okay, no Jerry updates. Vanetta say he felt no remorse because if he did, he wouldn't have had his attorney to speak for him. Exactly. Did he lose his job? Yes, I'm sure he did.
Yeah. They didn't. I think it was one of those cases where they don't fire him beforehand. They let the judicial system work out. Once he's convicted, they fire him. I think it's, and there are lots of agencies that are like that. They don't want to meddle in the criminal prosecution, so they let the criminal prosecution go first, and then they adjudicate internally afterwards.
Yeah, like Jason said, Craig said, I agree with you. I never had to use force like that in Wiley High School. Jason said, but there are no blue people, blue lives. You're right. There are no blue people. There's no blue lives. That non-cultural always falls flat. This was always the problem with the response of Blue Lives Matter. A real shame how words get weaponized for convenience. I totally agree with you. You know, we're gonna get Jason on. He's very articulate. That's Malika's brother, one of her brothers, god brother, little brother, whatever Jason wants to be called. His family, and you know, to have a conversation with him is astounding. Just to listen to him break things down. And you know, one day I'm gonna try to get Jason and Todd on, and we can just converse about men of color, even to what their sexual preferences are not their sexual preferences, you know, because that's the way we started this off in regards to the Stonewall and policing in the LGBT community. I would love if we would have had some gay officers come on and converse with just gay people in general when we was talking about that topic. Is there anything that you guys want to talk about? I don't. We don't have to go too long. We don't have to force the envelope. But the thing is,
you had also sent the video about the kidnapping.
Yes, please. Let's show that. Yes, everybody, this is the Real Talk Chronicles. I'm your host, Bill Forster, with my co-host, Kevin Branzetti and Chuck Richards. And we invite any of you, anytime you want to come in and join and converse with us. We all appreciate the support and the love that you give us. You know, the world is about to open up. Please be safe. Oh, I can ask that question too. For those that are vaccinated and those that are not vaccinated, how are y'all feeling about that? Because, you know, there's such a still discrepancy. People can send me information all the time about, oh, this is happening. I feel right now, no matter which way you sway, you're going to listen to the information. People are making jokes online about, oh, the CDC said you don't have to wear socks with sandals anymore. Okay, we get it, you know, but you know what? We've always listened to somebody. So now everybody got this super woke attitude, and everybody's smarter than the next person. And you know what kills me is the people that don't have near degree. They don't have a fucking degree at all. You know what I'm saying? They don't have a degree in shit. You know what I'm saying? But they're the ones that are the spewing of we're the puppets. I tell somebody all the time, I'm not sitting here telling you I'm an advocate. I'm not speaking for the vaccine. I'm not telling anybody to take it. You don't have to take shit. But I'm telling you, I did what I did for me. My wife did what she did for herself. My family did what they did for themselves. If you don't want to take it, don't take the shit. I don't care. But don't sit here and tell me I'm a puppet because you didn't take it. You know what I'm saying? Don't tell me about Tuskegee because half of you black people out here don't even know how to spell Tuskegee. You know, black and Latin people don't know how to spell Tuskegee. You know what I'm saying?
In all fairness, that's a tough word.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, that's a hard one. That's a spelling bee championship word.
Exactly. TUS. Exactly. Yeah. Some cats really, you know, and I get it, but some of you are trying to be super woke, and that kills me sometimes. If you want to know about the history of what happened in Tuskegee, they had polio and then they didn't give them the vaccine to cure them. It wasn't that they gave them the polio. So no, just please know your history before you start spewing stuff. We understand a lot of things has happened, but anybody that has some earth under their feet, you had to get the polio shot to go to school. Everybody had to, right? What they tell you back then? You still here walking and talking. Some of you saying some silly shit, but you know what I'm saying? So maybe you was affected. You know, I don't know. I know, yo, it's real talk, and I just got to sometimes keep it real, say it 100, 101. It is what it is. And I'm not mad at anybody. You don't have to take the vaccine. You really don't. You know, but don't get mad at me for doing what I did because the bottom line is there isn't anybody out there. Now here is I'm gonna drop the mic on this whole shit, and then we're gonna go to something else. There isn't anybody out there that doesn't go to the doctor, and if the doctor says, "Yo, you got some shit," right? Say, "Well, I'm gonna give you some medicine." You're not gonna say, "Yo, what's in it? What's the side effects?" If he says, "Yo, I'm giving you this medicine to cure you," you're gonna be popping them shits like Skittles. You're gonna swallow that shit without water. And you're gonna take it on the time that he says take it. If he says take the shit at 59 seconds to the hour of 8, you're gonna take that shit. So now all of a sudden, the vaccine that everybody that's killed 500,000 people, you gonna talk about you ain't gonna take the shit because you awake. You that smart person. You know what I'm saying? I got it. You the genius. All right, I ain't mad at you. Listen, just don't just don't call me a fool because you think you smart. That's all I'm saying. If you don't want to take it, don't take it. I'm not mad at you. I love you. I appreciate you all. Whoever don't take it. You know what I'm saying? But when you come down with some shit, don't ask me to come visit you in the hospital because I ain't fucking doing it. You know what I'm saying? I'm just playing, but I'm serious. Yo, it's real talk, baby. What's up? I'm your boy Bill Foster. I say what I say. I mean what I feel. You know, when I jump into the journalist world, I just try to give you the best that I can give you. Chuck, what's your take on it, man? And then Kevin, what's your take? And then we'll go to that video. I'll read some comments.
You know, I say this all the time, man. People will trust going to a restaurant. They order something on a menu, right? They don't ask what the ingredients are. They see the menu says it's filet of duck or whatever, and it's going to be sauteed with brown gravy. And so you don't know how the guy prepared it. You don't know what's in it. You don't know anything other than what's on the menu, but you eat it, right? We expose ourselves and put things in our bodies on a normal basis in so many different ways, and we don't question it. And my overall thing was, when I, excuse the expression, nothing against you, Kev. Well, when I saw all these Republicans talking shit about this vaccination, but they was the first ones online to get that goddamn thing, I was like, why shouldn't I get it? Why shouldn't I take it?
Exactly.
So, you know,
yo,
that
Chuck,
was
let me interject. Everybody out there, this is real. And that's another point. A lot of NYPD, they was online. They was like, yo, Billy. That's the one time when I took that Y and ran with it. They was like, yo, Billy, you better go get that vaccination. Da, da, da. I was online with them. And let me tell you something. A sea of white people and one black, two of black people. Yeah, this is the line I need to be on. You know what I'm saying? And then, yo, let me tell you, yo, Kev, we got to keep it real. This is real talk. Let me tell you something.
Nothing against you, Kev. Don't say, you know.
Let me tell you something. Kev took the vaccine. He knew he was first one online. He was like, all right, here, I'll take it and shit. You know what I'm saying? And let me tell you something. In the hood, people was in St. Anne's and Brooks. Gunshots, pew, pew. They was like, I ain't scared. I'm going to get this vaccine. I don't care about getting shot at. Pew, pew, pew. All right, I'm online. Excuse me. No conditions. Let me tell you something. In every hood you went to, you saw white people on that line getting that vaccine. And people of color were still talking about, nah, I ain't taking it. I ain't getting it. Listen, people, educate yourselves. That's all. You got to listen to somebody. You got to listen to doctors. You know, like I said, if you don't want to take it, you're going to find information that's going to make you're right. And I'm not mad at that. I'm not sitting here. You're never going to see me be the poster boy or the poster man for the vaccines. You're not. But I'm going to tell you, I did what I had to do. Yo, you want to take the train? I'll take the bus. You want to walk? I'll drive. I ain't mad at you. Just don't get mad at me. That's all. Kev, what's your take?
Well, you know, I got the vaccine early, so yeah, you know, I was a big fan of it. Everybody in my family's been vaccinated. Right, I think it's the right way to go. But I get the, you know, the confusion about it, and it's tough to fight through the BS of the world, right? There's political end of this. I don't know how a disease became political, but in our life it has, and it's terrible.
Well, we know how it became political. We know,
right? Well,
his name starts with his first name starts with a D. No, don't shut me. Don't shut me down. His first name starts with a D, and his last name starts with a D. You open a can of worms now.
I don't know if he started, but we'll give him the most credit for political end of it. But I didn't see anybody else not going political with it, right? Like, I didn't know if there was an adult in the room. I thought there was one or two at times, and then, that adult got a book deal and had some bad things come out of him, and we'll see if he lasts being governor. There's a lot of BS out there, is what I'm getting at. There's a lot of stuff you can find. You Google vaccine, is bad, and you'll find dozens and dozens of I think it's BS articles, and you can Google vaccines great and find other things. Trying to find legit, well-respected, renowned medical professionals talking about it is the difficult part. And anytime you find one of those or a couple of them, they're all telling you to take it. I have not seen a medical professional who's in the disease field say, don't touch this vaccine.
Yo, let me interject, and I'm gonna let you finish. The videos that you see are all the people that used to be in the fields talk about well, I used to be a forensic scientist, and so I said, oh, where are you working at now? I'm working at Wendy's. Okay, why are you not taking the vaccine back? I don't know.
I used to work at the CDC. They didn't tell you that I was the janitor. Like,
exactly.
He's telling you, But if you listen to, and I have, that's what, I've done early on in this, and I got lucky getting into a thing with a professor who's been studying infectious diseases since I was a baby. And, every single one of them swear by the vaccine. Yes, there'll be an occasional person who's going to have a problem. Yeah, with any vaccine. But, like the guy said it, right? We all had to have vaccines to go to school. Couldn't go to school, and still to this day, there is a set of vaccines you need. This is going to be on that list. That's it. You didn't want, I get people didn't want to be first. Bill, months ago, you talked about it. You didn't want to be first. Yeah. And and it didn't take you long. You came around pretty quickly.
Yeah. With the colors behind me, like the cartoon. You know what I'm saying? Yo, it didn't take me long to get my shit together. Listen, and let me tell you something. I got some good friends. I got family friends that I call family that I rock with. I love them. That they refuse. And I've had people have conversations, because at one point I was like, yo, I'm not taking the vaccine. You know what I'm saying? But then you got to educate yourself. Listen, we've had her on the show, Dr. Marilyn Corder, my first cousin, that I converse with all the time, her and her husband and stuff. Other doctors that I've conversed with, other people in the medical field. I have other people in my family that's in the medical field. They've talked to me. My neighbors are in the medical field. And I sit back and it was like, yo, medical science has gone a long way. Like I said, you got people on the corner smoking weed that don't know where the shit came from their man Pookie, telling you don't take the vaccine, but they're spreading the shit, sharing a joint. How the fuck I'm listening to your dumb ass? You know what I'm saying?
Bill, Chuck, how many times did we recover drugs from somebody's dumb ass?
Yeah.
Literally.
Right? And people smoking that.
Yeah, exactly. Contraband. Really. It was really in the band. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, let me read some of these comments. This is Real Talk Chronicles, everybody. I'm your host, Bill Forster, with my co-host, Kevin Branzetti and Chuck Richards. And we just try to give you the best conversation we can give you. Let me see what people are talking about from the YouTube aspect. Craig said, he says, we talked about that. Jason, a real shame that words, weapon. Okay, Craig said to open up is a mistake. I believe that we should open up slowly. How do you spell Tuskegee? I don't know. You spelled it right, Craig. See, you had time though. You had time to Google the shit first. You know what I'm saying? But Craig, you took the vaccine, correct? I know you did. Colin said they go to the market and it says organic and they buy it. Absolutely. Mark, I know what you're saying. I'm going to read it right now. He says, Bill, on a separate matter, how would you think about doing a sports segment at some point? I'm going to do it, Mark. I'm going to do it. And you know what's so funny? Because right now, as we watch these play-ins, we could talk about that at another time, which I think about these play-ins, baseball. Mets is kind of looking kind of good. Yankees, they teetling in together. Giants, is Daniel Jones really that dude? See, I'm on it. Matt Wilson, is he the guy for the Jets? I'll pop it off. Chuck, come on, baby. We can get with it. We can have a little sports section. You know what I'm saying? Kevin, talk about the Islanders and the Rangers. You know what I'm saying? I loved it. I went back and I saw the clip you were telling me about. They was fighting. I loved it. I was excited.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah, we're gonna definitely pop it off, man. We're gonna do a sports section, and I'm gonna come to the date, and we're gonna bring a lot of sports. I got shout out to my man DJ Ace. I know he loves sports too. Chuck, we could talk about the football because you know we was at our football cheers at one time before I moved to uptown Harlem. But our cheers down. Are they still open, Chuck? Shout out to Blondies. All right, yeah, that was everybody used to be able to find Chuck and I in there. Shout out to the Giants crew. We was in there going hard body.
Right.
You know, Dallas Cowboys, go ahead with yourselves. It's all good. You know what I'm saying? And that's a joke to a guy that is so funny that he's supposed to come by the house and he's a Dallas Cowboys fan. He must not really want my money. He better not come in here with that damn shirt on. Dallas Cowboys. You know, is that biased? My bad. I messed up. Everybody, listen. We're gonna show this clip about abduction. Please be careful, ladies. Also, people are getting slashed. Craig, I know you vaccinated. I know you are, brother. This is what we do. Also, too, has church opened up yet? I don't know if I'm ready to come back yet like that.
I think it's next week.
Oh, okay.
I think you're good this weekend. I think so. I think we're back to full.
Yeah, the July, right? Is it July for the whole city, all right?
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah. So.
All right.
We're getting
everybody.
there. We're getting there.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody, listen. This is on a real serious topic before we get out of here. I want to show you something about this child that was trying to be abducted. This is right up Kevin's alley, so I mean, maybe I should let him narrate it and talk about it. But the thing is, please, ladies, watch yourselves. I know I'm going to be funny with this, so don't get offensive. I know some of you, if you got abducted, your mouths would make a motherfucker bring you back home.
I'm throwing the flag on that one.
I had to say it. I said it.
Done.
Someone got some people mouths.
I'm not saying that.
But now, honestly, listen, that's the beautiful thing about this. We got to have humor in this world that we live in. I just did that out of fun. You know, I don't really mean it. Like this. I don't really mean it. No, let me say it. But seriously. Ladies, no matter whom you are, they're abducting young women, but still, this is the same way you can be accosted and raped or robbed on a serious note. So please, I brought some humor to that. I was being funny and facetious, but on the real side, watch your backs, watch what you do, stay out of your phones, watch people who are watching you. Don't think every guy that's looking at you is looking at your behind or your bosom. He might be looking at you because you're not paying attention. You understand what I'm saying? And this is the thing when I started I was doing my little seminars, doing the self-defense awareness. Sometimes you don't have to be a martial artist, you don't have to be a boxer, you don't have to carry a gun, because there are people out here that carry guns that still can get caught. But one thing that you need to do is watch your back, your surroundings. Pay attention to who's watching you. So come on, Kevin, let's watch this video.
All right, share it up.
All right, here I go, buddy.
Oh man.
So the kid's on the grass there waiting for her
the bus, right?
I think she's 11. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this guy had said something to her a week or two earlier. And they reported it. And mom then started waiting at the bus with her every day. And this was the first day mom didn't come. You know, I mean, that was very, very quick. Let's go back to, you know. She knows it's trouble.
Yeah,
He got a good hold of her. He started pulling. She pushed, kicked, and then he took off. I don't know if something else spooked him. It's funny. She even grabbed her school bag. And that's a child reflex, right? She's going to get in trouble for leaving her school bag. So she took it. That's what we all do as humans.
After months of numerous.
We all make that mistake of.
What is this, Kev? What was that? There was something.
Yeah.
Was there anything we needed to watch in abductions or anything like that?
No. You know how like YouTube and starts playing the next video, and that's what that was.
Gotcha.
So that was, look, it's a parent's worst nightmare. While we're showing it, I will still go with, this is a world I live in. I live in a world of helping law enforcement across the country with missing, abducted, trafficked kids. This is incredibly rare, right? Like the taken scenario is very, very rare. I don't know if you saw the thing in Texas where the other kid was taken and killed.
Yeah.
And that guy was
really sad.
seemed to be just crazy, and just, I don't know what, he got obsessed with her, and just went there, obsessed with him, and went there and killed him. But these are rare. But like, this is our worst fear as parents. Our kid being abducted, our kid being trafficked, our kid being violated in any sort of way. But the honest answer is, our kids who are being trafficked, it doesn't happen this way. It happens because they run away, is one, and then two, it's family doing it to them. Months ago we had on Barbara Jean Wilson, who was a victim of trafficking by her mother. That is the most common, is those two categories, bar none. It's not even close to the abduction. We need to pay attention to the abduction. We all watch the abduction. We're all afraid of the abduction. But the honest answer is it's that our kids who are runaways, and this is one of those where I call out law enforcement. We treat runaways kind of like not that big of a problem. And the way I could show this to you and prove it to you, because me, I like my stats in life. All right.
Yeah, so everybody, just for edification, Kevin has a new name. His name is Stats. His nickname is Stats. So if you just want to say, "What's up, Stats?" Oh, yeah. And Chuck and I found out, we went to Kevin's Stats, and we found out that his statistics are wrong.
Nope, we'll go to that in a minute. Let me finish this, because
all right, yeah, all right.
We'll definitely go to that.
Bring it up. Chuck and I sent it to you.
I know, and it says exactly what I said. So we'll talk about it. Let me finish.
Go ahead,
Stats. So the way cops, law enforcement treats missing runaways is a low end problem, and like I said, through stats, how you can prove that. Ask any precinct commander how many robberies they have, burglaries they have, rapes, homicides they know. Ask them how many missing kids they have in their command. They don't know. It is not something that is a priority with us. I think we've become jaded towards it, because a lot of runaways are constant runaways. They're like, they'll be back in a couple of days. And yeah, a good chunk of them come back in a couple of days. But there's a reason they ran away, and there's something going on. And we as, government, society, need to fix it.
Let me ask you a question. Due to your experience, and I don't know, are runaways, majority of runaways, or a majority of runaways are just kids that had an argument with their parents?
That's a mixture, but it doesn't matter. What the majority of kids who are trafficked are runaways. If you care about sex trafficking, then you need to fix runaways.
So let me ask you a question. I have an argument with little Billy, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to do it. You're going to do it. I don't want to do it. You're going to do it. He stomps out the house. I'm beat his ass because that's why he left anyway. You know what I'm saying? Now he doesn't come back all night. You're saying that he is more vulnerable to getting abducted?
He is vulnerable. An abduction is not really the way it happens. It's coerced. It is, they meet somebody online is more often than not.
Okay, so that's why I'm asking the question I'm asking.
It's more
because
about that. It's
I
less
don't want to
about.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's less about the abduction at that point. That those do happen. They do fall into groups and into a gang that will take the girl and abuse her. That does happen, but these are more about grooming. HBO has a good show on 42nd Street from the 70s. It's called The Deuce.
I was there. Chuck and I was there, right? Hey, The Deuce.
You can check it out. And what you see is, and this is how it used to work in New York,
the
right?
Three movies, right? Yeah, the three movies: karate flick, a porn movie, and a black exploitation movie. You know what I'm saying? You can see
There
all
it is.
three.
Well, that's the three, the trifecta.
Yeah. All day for $2. You'd be like, "Yay!" I'm sorry, Kevin. I'm sorry. We date.
That's all right. Serious conversation needs laughs.
Street, little needy.
So if you watch the show The Deuce, it shows you how it happened in the 70s, which used to be Grand Central. These kids would come into New York, young girls, looking for the bright lights and trying to get somewhere. And pimps used to hang out there. And guys used to just hang out there. They used to hang out by looking for runaway kids and talk to them. And I'll help you and I'll be your friend and I'll do stuff. And they befriend them, and then befriending them, then turning to pimping them. This is what happens online. They are groomed online, and then they think, daddy's mean, mommy's mean, and sometimes daddy is mean, and sometimes stepdaddy is really effing mean, and sometimes mommy's beating the snot out of them, and there's a real problem at home. It's not always I didn't want to do my homework, but they meet these people online who groom them, who give them, I'll have a place you can stay, it'll be paradise, and paradise turns out to be hell always. There's no such thing as a runaway paradise, right? That doesn't exist. This is not Peter Pan. You're going to have a bad day. So we need to handle our runaways different. Yeah, we need to find them and then have, city social services follow up on it and see what was going on in that household. Was it the kid being a brat? Yeah, it does happen. But, I think that's what we look at more. And so we become jaded with them. It's the ones where it's really something is probably bad happening to that kid in that household. So they run away. So they go from being sexually abused in their home to sexually abused on the street is really the path that happens.
So funny. We're going to discuss in the future. We're going to really let you go in detail to a lot of things because there are just some people that can say they've been sexually touched when they were young. There are some individuals that just are not obedient, and it's child abuse. There are some individuals, like you said, that leave. I mean, and just as I was enlightened when I was younger, working with my other partners in law enforcement. Shout out to my partner Kim. That really gave me some insight into how being gay when you were young and your parents didn't want to co-sign that, and they kicked you out the house, and then they used to live down in a village, and because for any New Yorker that really knows, back in the days when Chuck and I and Kevin were growing up, the village was just predominantly a gay haven, and crime was rapid and rampant between the gay community on the West Side Highway. They were out there sleeping in the parks. They were robbing and stealing, and because this is the only way they had or were able to survive. So a lot of things culminated why people are outside, and this is problematic. We need to find a solution to that, on top of everything that's happening. Kev, so we're really going to let you one day just kind of break down in detail stats as you do about kidnappings and abductions and runaways and things of that magnitude, because it's very prevalent that people need to understand that. Shout out to everybody that's chiming in and laughing with us and having jokes. Colin had also said he saw that on the news today. I think they caught him and he was painting his van to disguise. Wow.
True.
Yes, Vanetta, I know I'm a little crazy. Mark, yes, I saw it. Craig Forster, you right. Yankees second baseman, he got tested positive. How are you still testing positive? Like, why didn't you take the vaccine? Start partying. Stop it. Eddie Vieira said, let me put my glasses on. Jason, appreciate the compliments. I will read them because they're talking about me. Eddie said, next generation. Eddie Vieira said, next generations won't doubt it because they didn't live this surreal moment. Maybe back in the day with other vaccines, people doubted too. You can't fight City Hall, as they say. Exactly. Eddie said, I'm vaccinated. He says, like Kevin said, it'll be on the list of vaccines. Craig said, yeah, the Yankee second baseman contracted COVID, and he was vaccinated. Mm-hmm. Really, Craig? Oh, we're gonna really open it.
Several of them on the Yankees had gotten it, but they have no symptoms. So they tested positive, but they're symptom free.
Wow.
So that was always said with the shots that you could still get it. Same thing with the flu shot. You can get the flu. You just get a lesser, experience with the flu and this with COVID. You don't get the.
We're gonna have to get the doctors back on the show so we can find out more about that. You're right, because that's something to think about and talk about. Right, sweetie? Yeah. Got to make sure everybody. I love everybody back. Yeah, everybody says hi, Malika. Jason said. Jason said, "Bill, you're such a good dude." You're right, Jason. I appreciate that. Thank you. Now let me say it. And then he says, "Yeah, that's your brother, Jason." And he said, "Your co-hosts are great too. Glad you are doing this. Keep it going." We will, Jason. We need all the support we get. Please tell a friend. Let them know if there's any topics that anybody out there in Real Talk Land wants to converse about. Let us know. I touch all topics. If I don't have knowledge of it, then I try to get somebody on that does, or I will read up before we converse about it. Because the bottom line is, knowledge is a beautiful thing. A lot of you out here have taught me so much from the information that you send me behind the scenes and help me talk about what I'm talking about today. I have no problems talking about anything that we talk about. There isn't a topic I won't discuss. So if there's a topic, we will start talking about sports. I will hold a segment with that where we talk about sport. Stephanie said, Kevin, I feel like I saw you at a hookah lounge over the weekend. And Bill Foster, I saw you in the underground 90s R&B party. You saw me in the house. Yeah. If you saw Kevin at a hookah party, please, you should take a picture because I would love to see this dude at a hookah party. You know what I'm saying? I would love to see it. Everybody, this is Real Talk Chronicles. Fellas, I think we're ending on a nice light note. Everybody, please, in the New York, the metropolitan area, start narrowing down who you're going to vote for city council, public advocate, the mayoral race. If you ask me, I'll tell you, I'll come forth in the upcoming weeks because that's what Real Talk is all about right now. I've tried to keep this forum open for anybody that comes on this show to not be, biased. So I didn't want anybody to know, like, I'm going for Chuck, and then Kevin's on the show talking about, yeah, vote for me. I'd be like, get Eddie. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not trying to divulge who I'm going for. But before the elections, I will tell you, I am voting. Kevin, no, you didn't hear anything about any early tampering, right? Trump is quiet with this, right? He ain't no problems. You don't have no problems in New York right now about who's early voting tampering and stuff like that. Did you hear anything?
All looks good at the moment.
Oh, okay, yeah. We don't have to change any. We can talk about them Jim Crow laws. We all right? Nobody cares about Trump. Don't care about New York anymore, and there's no early voting tampering. It's hypocrisy. He's such a clown. You know what I'm saying? Kev, give us some words of advice. Some excellent. Thanks you, Eddie Vieira. Excellent show. Everybody, before Kevin and I and Chuck will speak to you next week. Ty Butler is going to be joining us on the show. Please, if you have topics, let us know what you want to talk about. You can talk about anything that you want to talk about. Please just make it conversation worthy and conversation interesting. mean, I don't know about birds and bees unless what my daddy told me. But you want to talk about lantern flies, I don't know what to tell you about that, but I'll try to get an expert on the show to talk about that.
Can we talk about the amazing job you did on that grill?
Oh, that's right.
Whoa!
Yo, everybody out there, before we get out of here, did you see that grill? Yo, that shit stressed me out. I was like, yo, but I'm gonna rock it out. You know what I'm saying? Yo, I was out there. I was like the mad scientist. I felt like I was Tony Starks. You know what I'm saying? Building the Iron Man suit. Yo, God is good, man. I'm in a good place. My wife is in a good place. We're good, man. We wish you all the best. We'll talk to you next week. I'll be back here Monday with Pastor Kevin Graves. Anytime anybody wants to join that spiritual walk, you always know Pastor Kevin Graves has been with us, Kevin, on our show. You're always more than welcome to join him. Chuck, if you ever want to join that show, you're more than welcome to join that part two. This is when we talk about how we feel about spirituality in connection to what's going on in today's world. And then Pastor just drops some real knowledge. So it's a good conversation. Mark, you're right. We're going to do some sports stuff, some segments. And we're going to talk about law enforcement. How can we make some changes? I got a meeting tomorrow early in the morning about that. So that's a beautiful thing. So with everybody, please, right now, the play-in games, I think I was trying to watch on the low. I wasn't able to do that. I think Memphis is bringing it to San Antonio. Thank you, Eddie Vieira. Shout out to you, my brother. So everybody, Chuck, Kev, give us some positive affirmation, and Chuck, and then I'll finish out. Unless Malika has something that she wants to say in the background. All right, go ahead, Kev. Give me some love, brother.
Malika gave her shout out to you, which was very nice.
Thank you, Kevin.
A couple of things in life, right? One, I talk about often. Take a break, everybody. Get off social media for a day. Let your soul heal. Recharge your batteries. Remember, your voice matters. It's the attitude of, I can't change anything. I can't do anything. I can't make a difference. If that's the attitude you're going to take, then that's what you're going to get. Right. It is nothing happens overnight. You got to take your time. You got to pick your spots, but you got to do something. And change could be engaging your neighbor that you haven't before. It can be engaging that cop on the street you kind of looked away from before. It could be calling up your local councilman and expressing your dismay or happiness for something they're doing. These things create change. Your local politician, you have enough people calling and talking, they're going to listen. And that is what some communities and some people have learned very, very well. And we all need to take a little lesson in that. So your voice matters. Use it.
Thank you. Chuck is calling in everybody from his cell. And it looks like you're in your cell in the background. Like, you got your little bars up and up. Everybody. Listen, let me give a big shout out to Chuck for hanging out with us, taking time out of where his secret location is to contribute to the Real Talk family. I really appreciate that. Thank you, because that shows dedication, and that's why you'll always be rocking with us. Love and respect, man. Seriously, but tell Casey I said what's up too. Chuck, give us some words of encouragement, some affirmation, man, please.
What I want to say is that we all understand that what this pandemic has done to all of us. I mean, it's changed our lives in so many ways, and we've probably have lost a great deal of the people that we love, people we knew. And if any of us are still around through all this, first and foremost thing is to remember that you're here, and those who you love are still here. And if you have any issues, any problems, or things, in fact, that you made conflicts, do yourself a favor. Bury the hatchet. Life is too damn short. Yeah. There were so many lives lost There's so many things that have changed. So many people were displaced. People are unemployed. Look to the left, look to the right. The person that you may have issues, or especially within your own family, find a way to find a way of bridging that gap, to find some peace. And the thing I always tell people is that there's 5 primary things that if we remember those 5 things, it probably can solve a lot of issues. 1, saying I'm sorry. 2, saying forgive me. 3, saying thank you. And 4, saying I love you. All right.
Wow.
If we were to just utilize those 4 statements in everything and anything we do with the people that we care about and we love, you'd be surprised how much you could bridge the gap between you and someone else. So just remember those 4 things, if anything else in life. And I live by that. So that being said,
that's what's up, man. That's
so
deep. Let me tell you something. If you put that down on a piece of paper or a little, take a picture of yourself and write that under there, I'll post it tomorrow with your caption. that moved me. I was like, wow. Let me tell you something, everybody. I'm in a good place in my life, and I just, you're seeing more of the humorous side of me. And I'm glad that we can share some love. I appreciate these gentlemen for giving their time, to put a podcast together, and real kudos and shout outs to my wife for pushing it and saying go for it, because it all came from the passing of my mother. And Chuck knows this. We were in an apartment, 40 people deep, conversing and stuff about things. So to see that it's come to a different level, and it hasn't stopped yet. And for these gentlemen to take their time out and for us to try to invoke change in the world, I'm humbled and I'm appreciative of that. With all sincerity, I bow to you guys. With that being said, I really bow to the people that chime in with us, the ones that actually come in and the ones that ghost watch. You all make it, worthwhile. I thank you all for my information, my ministers of information that send me so much stuff outside, that keep me reading. It's a beautiful thing. I thank you for all the accolades that you say to me. The good, the bad, and the uglies. It's all a beautiful thing. Listen, I'm here. I'm rocking. My people are rocking with me. We're just trying to have real talk. Listen, this is the only place where we're going to touch. We're going to chase the elephant out the room. We're not worried about the elephant in the room. We're going to chase the elephant out the room. We're going to try to solve and make this world a better place. That's what real talk is about. Everybody has their own expertise and tenure, unless you want to deem yourself an expert in tutelage and knowledge. But we have conversations, and we're willing to have them, and we want to have them. And I invite you all. Kevin, how many times do I say it? Almost every show. Chuck, right? Like, if you want to be on the show, you want to talk about something, come on, please, come on. We want to talk to you. We want to talk to you. We want to hear what you have to say. As long as you can dot your I's and cross your T's, and you know the difference between converse and conversate, because we don't want to hear you say conversate. We want to hear you say converse. You know what I'm saying? And I had to say that with joke and humor. Sweetheart, do you want to say anything to the world out there, the Real Talk, the RTC family?
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
We call that a hint.
Yo, listen.
Well, that's a clue. Put on your detective hat, Bill, and look at that clue.
Listen. Everybody put some thumbs, some hearts up. I know what it means. Good night, everybody. Like the commercial. Good night, John Boy. You know what I'm saying? Everybody give us some thumbs, some hearts, show us some love. And for you sports people, the score, Memphis is 62, San Antonio 57. Go watch it. Watch the baseball. Bring us up to snuff. Everybody, appreciate you. Love you. See you. Real talk. Good night.